During the next half hour, we'll talk with Cardinal Blase Cupich about how tax credit scholarships benefit families. We'll take you to the National Migration Mass and to the March for Life Chicago. And we'll show you how the annual Catholic Appeal helps the many vital ministries of the Archdiocese of Chicago. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
The Archdiocese of Chicago is a vibrant and diverse faith community. We celebrate our faith through worship, evangelization, and reaching out to the needy. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Hello, I'm Todd Williamson from the Office for Divine Worship with the Archdiocese of Chicago. I'm here in studio with Cardinal Blase Cupich. Cardinal, it's good to see you.
Good to be with you, Todd.
We have a number of things that we want to talk about today. First thing is something rather new here in Illinois, tax credit scholarships.
Right. The tax credit scholarships are something that were provided in the last piece of legislation passed by the Senate and the House and then signed by the governor, which allows for people who don't otherwise have a choice because of their income level to have school choice if they would like to go to a school other than a public school. And of course, that means our Catholic schools as well.
Wow, how does it work?
Well, it's very simple. It's a matter of everybody pays taxes, or should, here in the state. And so if, in fact, let's say you owe $750 in taxes, if you donate to a scholarship granting organization $1,000, then the state will give you full credit for the $750. So it's 75 cents on the dollar that you get credit for. And the maximum, of course, that a person can get a tax credit for is $1 million. And the entire fund is capped at $100 million altogether, or $75 million of tax credits. And it's the first time that we've had this in the state. We're joining about 17 other states throughout the Union that really get at a fundamental issue, I think, that creates some kind of inequality in society, and that is the most important decision a parent makes about their children is where they're going to go to school. And there are people who don't have that choice because of their income level. Well, this evens the playing field. This allows us to have families that otherwise could not afford an option for education to go to one of our schools. And we already have the sign-ups. And in fact, the first day of sign-up on one of the websites for getting this scholarship was 11,000 families. And the next day, another website had 24,000 families. So there's a tremendous pent-up need and desire for this, and we think that it's really going to take off. But I think that your viewers should know, and all the Catholics here in the state should know, that they can participate in helping the poorer families get these scholarships by applying for the tax credit. All you need to do is go online and contact the state. And so you can get 75 cents credit for whatever you give to a scholarship granting organization that's going to allow people to have this credit scholarship. I think it's important to realize that many of us who went to Catholic schools when we were young had the benefit of sisters who taught in our schools. And they were the ones, in many ways, who made the sacrifice. And a lot of us didn't pay for that education. Well, in many ways now, this is an opportunity for all of us to step forward and, like those sisters, make some sacrifices. It'll cost us something, but look at the benefit it'll have as more people will be able to enjoy the benefits of our schools.
Yeah, so if I do this, how do I assure that my donation goes to a Catholic?
Well, you can earmark it. You can, as an individual, say that you would like that tax credit scholarship, that gift to the scholarship granting organization, to be targeted either to the Catholic schools in the Archdiocese of Chicago or a particular Catholic school. And now, individuals can do that. Corporations, however, cannot. Corporations are able to give. And if they have a tax liability, they can get up to $1 million of tax credit as well.
Wow, great opportunity for families all over the state.
It's a game changer for families.
That's wonderful. Yeah. That's wonderful. Cardinal, I want to talk a little bit about DACA. the deferred action for childhood arrivals. But before we do that, we have a video to show that goes from Migration Week Mass here in the Archdiocese. Last month, you were the main celebrant at a Mass to kick off Migration Week, and the United States Church has been observing this week for almost 50 years. It was a great celebration, great diversity, colors and costumes, and well, let's take a look at it right here.
Wonderful.
The Mass was well attended, a great pre-liturgical procession from 40 countries, I
Right.
believe. There was a dreamer who spoke afterwards, and your homily was very fine. I love the imagery of the Magi.
Yeah.
Tell the viewers a little bit about that.
Well, it occurred to me that, as I suggested, especially to the young people who were there, who came from immigrant families, that they were like the Magi. The Magi were able to see where God was leading them because they kept their head up and looking at the stars, the hope that's there. Some people who are disparaging of immigrants, which surprises me given our heritage as an immigrant nation, I think are looking inward, or in many ways looking at themselves or down. They're not able to see the bright light of hope that these young people have in their hearts as they come to this country. I think it's very important for our Catholic community and anyone listening to understand that most of the young people we're talking about came here when they were in their 5, 6, 7 years old or younger, and know only this country. And so for these nearly 1.2 million to all of a sudden then be uprooted from this country that they call home, separated from their home culture, their friends and everything else, simply because their parents brought them here when they were young, seems to be terribly unfair and not really in tune with the aspirations of our country. So I think that's important. But the other thing that's important with regard to the legislation for immigration is this so-called chain migration. I think that's a bad term. I think the real term that we should use here is family reunification. I think to talk about only the quote-unquote nuclear family being something that has to be protected ignores the fact that, well, that doesn't include grandparents. Grandparents are so very important to a family system. I think any grandparent out there who's listening knows that they're called on their children to babysit, to in some way share in the life of their grandchildren, and they can be enriched by that relationship. Well, for us to in some way close the door on grandparents, to say that we're only for the nuclear family of the mother and father and immediate children in that family, I think in many ways impoverishes our understanding of family.
Yeah, it certainly does. It's an excellent point. The celebration itself was wonderful. And then just 1 week later, another celebration.
Right.
We're
active. We're real busy these days,
exactly,
aren't they?
right. Well, certainly you are. You celebrated the Mass for Respect Life right before the march here in Chicago. Respect Life Chicago. We have a video package on that. Let's take a look.
Wonderful.
Thousands of people converge on Chicago on this Sunday in January for the annual March for Life. The day's events are led off by a youth rally in the auditorium at Francis Xavier Ward School. Young Catholics pack the house for lectures, fellowship, and even a few songs. Following the rally, the pilgrims head across the courtyard to Holy Name Cathedral for the Mass for Life. It was standing room only for the Mass celebrated by Cardinal Blase Cupich.
We pray and we march this day for our children, but also for our own souls, personally and as a nation, that God may help us reclaim a sense of mystery and curiosity about our lives. Help us to dream again beyond ourselves.
Following Mass, the pilgrims head south to Federal Plaza, joining thousands of other demonstrators in the frigid weather, eager to show their enthusiasm for life.
You know, really the cold, I don't think bothers anybody. I mean, yeah, we feel a little cold in the beginning, but once you realize what we're doing here and what we're standing for, really the cold doesn't matter at all. It's just a great way to offer it up in any kind of way that we can for, defend life in any way possible.
Well, I really believe in life from the very earliest stages, so I believe that we should defend it and that abortion should stop.
This annual pro-life rally brings together civic, community, and religious leaders from across the Midwest. No matter what their background, their common message is respect for life.
We ask our Lord to banish wickedness from our laws. We also ask that our Lord will kindle in our hearts the will to care for those in need, to show kindness to those suffering from poverty, and to aid the homeless and help the helpless. There's a depth to these prayers that make it clear that we need to hold all life sacred from the womb to the grave.
We're going to march today. We're going to encourage people. We're going to show forth the love of God to people who may not know it. We're going to show forth the value of life to people who may chant against it, but ultimately we do so because we feel that God has called us to do so, because life matters.
Well, I can tell you that your enthusiasm and your presence here radiates great warmth, even on this very frigid day, making clear that the commitment of thousands of people from all backgrounds, faiths, and walks of life are here to defend and protect human life at every stage of development. It is firm and unwavering.
For many years, I have prayed outside of abortion centers, trying to be a presence of love, faith, and support to the women and men who find themselves in a desperate situation of crisis pregnancy and think abortion is the only way out. Today, we stand in this cold weather as witnesses to the sacred gift of life, as sentinels of the dawn on high, to stand for the right to be born.
Among the speakers is Chicago Bears owner Pat McCaskey, who sums up the day in a poem.
God give us friends who are March for Life friends, who will march for the right we adore. Start us with 10 who are March for Life friends, and will soon gather 10,000 more. Shoulder to shoulder and bolder, we grow as we go to the fore. Then there's nothing in the world can halt or mar a plan when March for Life friends can march together like we can. I see you friends ready to march, straining for the march. The march is today. Follow the Spirit and upon this charge cry, God for marchers and the unborn, love saves lives.
Praise the Lord is with me. Blessed art thou amongst women, blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
After the speeches, it's time to take to the streets, to march for life, to take a stance for life, for those who can't.
I think that day by day, I think it's really going to make a difference because people are going to see why you're so passionate and how you're so passionate for standing up for what you believe in.
Well, there's a camaraderie for one thing. There's a union of thought. They know the truth. They know what's good, and they want to spread that. I mean, that's the way people are. They want other people to be good and to do the right things.
We're being told that, we're judgmental and that we don't love people. I mean, we are founded on love. We understand that we are created out of love for love and that we are here to love. So, of course it's important for us to get that message across. And the only way that we're going to be a great society and a wonderful people is to come together and show why God made us, and that's for love.
The day ends after thousands of pilgrims raise their voices in the streets of Chicago, proclaiming the theme of this year's march, Love Saves Lives. I'm Brian Brock, along with Michael May, reporting from the March for Life Chicago.
Awful lot of people at that
And
march.
young people.
Ah, really?
Did you notice the amount of young people there? And it was very cold.
It was that day.
I wore my earmuffs and my scarf and bundled up, but it was pretty chilly. But I was very taken by the crowd of people that we had. And I think that's what's important is that we had just talked about the rights of immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we also have to talk about the rights of the unborn.
Right.
In many ways, they're too disenfranchised. They don't have laws to protect them. And I think that all of it fits together in our understanding of the dignity of every human person, no matter what their age or circumstances, no matter their race or background, their culture, their ethnic group. I think when we really have a consistent way of speaking about the dignity of a human person, we in some way are going to come together in a coalition that's going to make all of our pro-life activities effective. That's really what we've been trying to do, something that Cardinal Bernardine had really led the nation in years ago with his consistent ethic of a life.
That's right. You spoke to the group at Federal Plaza.
I did.
What did you say to them?
Well, I told them, I cheered them on for being there.
Bearing the cold.
I spoke to the young people. I wanted them to realize that they should stop for a moment and realize that there are a lot of people, young people their age, who aren't there because their life was taken.
Wow.
And I think that that's very chilling to young people to think about that. That, but for the grace of God and their own parents, they were able to come into the world. There's a whole generation of young people that aren't there. Simply because of abortion, and we need to look for ways in which we're going to not just be pro-life from the first moment of conception, the first moment of birth, but rather pro-life even for the new mother and that new child, to see that they have proper health care, housing, jobs, the opportunity to grow and get a good education. So we really have to be consistent in the way that we're pro-life.
Wow. DACA, the March for Life, Respect Life, it all kind of tracks back to a recent column that you wrote in the Catholic Chicago newspaper.
Oh, yes.
Last month in January, where you picked up on Pope Francis's image of the church as a field hospital.
Right.
What was your main point in using that image?
Well, the Pope is the one who used it, and I was asked to write, in fact, in a book that it was published, or is going to be published for the 5th anniversary of the Pope coming up, and I was given that particular image to write about. But the Pope is very clear about what he means. So the church just can't sit back as though they're in the hospital waiting for people to come there. We have to be like a field hospital, like in the moment of battle, where we take all that our resources and apply them to where people are. We bring our bandages, we bring our expertise, we meet people where they are. And so the understanding here is that instead of putting up a barrier to people, making them apply to get in, we go after them. And we're in some way very aggressive about making sure that they're not overlooked or excluded, especially if life excludes them.
Yeah, you had a wonderful image. You said if the church is a field hospital, the medicine in this field hospital is
mercy.
Yeah.
That's exactly right, and that's what the Pope is saying too. That what happens so often is that we forget that at the center of the gospel is mercy. The Pope has written about the name of God is mercy. It's a beautiful image. So we have to make sure that our doctrines are such that, and what we believe really convey a sense that God is coming after us aggressively. It's that hound of heaven image,
Yeah, that's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It was the July 10th issue of Catholic Chicago, or folks can read it in an, as you say, an upcoming collection of essays.
You mean the January 10th?
January 10th, yes. Yeah.
I wish it were July, to be honest.
January.
It's kind of cold out there these days.
Very.
I was going to say, I'm not getting a tan. I don't know what you're doing.
Well, we're going to ask our viewers to stick around. After this break, we're going to talk to the Cardinal about the annual Catholic Appeal. We'll be right back.
excellent outreach to all Chicago area Catholics of the radio programs that are produced by our radio and TV office and the various ministries of the Archdiocese. I have the pleasure of hosting many of those programs. As of this new year, Catholic Chicago Radio can be heard Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. on WNDZ 750 a.m. So please take a listen for all the latest news, events, and Catholic conversation to start your day. Listen to Catholic Chicago Radio, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., Monday through Friday on 750 a.m.
The cemetery ministry is a core ministry of our Catholic faith tied to the corporal works of mercy. It's comforting to know that our Catholic cemeteries are caring for the remains of our loved ones awaiting the resurrection. There are 44 Archdiocese of Chicago Catholic cemeteries willing to help you in your time of loss. Call 708-449-6100 or visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org. Catholic Cemeteries, serving the Catholic community since 1837.
Welcome back. Cardinal, the annual Catholic Appeal is underway here in the Archdiocese. Why is it important for our viewers?
We really depend on that in order to carry on the ministry that allows the parishes to be vibrant and vital. The resources from the annual appeal go to helping me and our various offices make our parishes strong, animating them. For instance, the way in which we pay for our seminarians, our priest education, the way in which we also prepare catechists to teach in CCD.
Sure.
My office to have me going around to be with parishes and so on. The marriage tribunal for people who have cases there for annulments. The newspaper, this station itself, all the outreach that we have, ways in which we also help beyond our Archdiocese with Campaign for Human Development, the ways also in which we support other charities, and also some of our parishes and schools that can't pay their bills. So every year we depend on that. But the other thing I think for people to keep in mind is that when parishes reach their goal, anything beyond their goal stays in the parish.
Really?
And
Really?
that means two things. First of all, that there's a partnership between us, between the diocese and a parish. But also it means that a parish can benefit from our efforts to raise funds without paying any costs for the fundraising.
Sure.
It's all gravy to them.
Wow.
So we just cut a check. As soon as they get go over the goal, we cut a check for the surplus. And that really does help their parishes. And a lot of parishes depend on it. So.
Well, as you say, a number of vibrant ministries are supported by that. And in fact, our radio and television office has put together a video highlighting those.
Oh,
so
great. Good.
Let's watch.
We are the Archdiocese of Chicago. We are 2.2 million strong. We worship in dozens of languages, but we're all part of the Universal Church, united in our solidarity with Christ. We are the Archdiocese of Chicago. We follow the lead of Pope Francis in making our church a field hospital, reaching out with love and commitment to those on the margins of society. Let us today pledge that we will work with each other so that young people who are tempted to violence will put down their weapons and join us in a way that builds a better city. Amen.
People here in the community know that St. Columbanus Church is somewhere that you can come to. to receive food and services and just a sense of hospitality and welcome.
Open up your hearts! Open up your hearts to build community.
We are the Archdiocese of Chicago. We promote a faith-based education that prepares children to enter the adult world with a sense of purpose, values, and Christ-like compassion.
I like catechesis because I get to learn more about Jesus.
We learn that we're all one body, so even if we're different in many ways, we still believe in God, and we're part of one big family.
We are the Archdiocese of Chicago. We are dedicated to strengthening the leadership of our local church by promoting vocations and cultivating the spiritual generosity of our laity.
It leaves me in awe. It was just that great love that just pours forth. Every time I see someone that is in need of a blessing, in need of something, that few words, it's just a real joy.
And when you trust and love the Sacred Heart of Jesus, you can do anything, and it's amazing.
My hope is that my relationship with Jesus and my love for Him will shine through what I do and who I am. Our relationship with God is so essential. And how can we all reflect on the gifts that we have and how we can share them with our brothers and sisters so that together we really can end hunger?
We are the Archdiocese of Chicago. We dream big about the future of the church, evangelizing, nurturing, and inspiring the lifelong process of formation.
We give the glory to God, the Holy Spirit moves, and these kids' hearts are touched, and we make a holy fire in Chicago.
We are the Archdiocese of Chicago. Thank you for partnering with me to provide Chicago area Catholics with a vibrant, vital, and life-giving church, a beacon of hope for all. God bless you.
To see that video again and to learn more about the annual Catholic Appeal, go to archchicago.org and click on Annual Catholic Appeal. Cardinal, how many times did you have to do that shoot as you're coming out of the cathedral?
Why would you even ask? I'm a one-take guy.
As you are here. As you are here.
Thank you.
As always.
Great.
Such a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you so much.
To our viewers, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time here on Catholic Chicago.
We invite you to watch segments of Catholic Chicago and hundreds of additional Catholic videos at youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter.